everyone, it's Sean from What Up, and welcome back to another video. Now, over the last week or so, Wheel of Time content has just been bananas. There's been all kinds of it everywhere. Everything from YouTube videos that are sponsored by Amazon Prime, yes, we'll talk about that in another video, to Instagram influencers who are being paid to talk about Wheel of Time, all the way up to and including major channels such as IGM and Watch Mojo here on YouTube covering Wheel of Time aspects, big interviews, set photos, videos, the Explore page on Amazon Prime, posters, interaction with the Twiiter of Chaos on Twitter, and Dusty Wheels Trailer Gate on. Now, all that being said, in today's video, I'm going to cover the Amazon Prime Explore app. Now, I know not all of my viewers are subscribed to Prime right now. You're probably waiting until the show drops, some of you, and those that are subscribed to Prime may not have access to this. So the rollout for this particular feature was not so great. It only went up to a few select accounts at first, and then it sort of ballooned from there. And as hotfixes went in, or whatever it was they did, more and more people started getting it. Not everyone has access to this yet. I myself only just get access to it today, and it's been out for a little over a week. So there's that. Now, if you don't have access to it, I'm going to go through everything they're showing there. I'm going to talk about what it means for the show, because it does give us some very big clues to where we're going in Season 1. Now, if you don't know who I am and you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button and the notification bell. I put out a ton of Wheel of Time content, all related to the show. And when the show drops, I'm going to do a bunch of episodes per episode. I know that's kind of a mouthful, but I'll be doing all kinds of Wheel of Time content based around the show, as well as all of my regular news videos. You're not going to want to miss any of that stuff. Now, all of that being said, spoiler warning. In this video, we're going to talk about the Explore portion of the Amazon Prime app, how it relates to the Wheel of Time. So it will spoil certain aspects of the first season, and if you haven't read up to Book 3, that's The Dragon Reborn, in Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, be forewarned, I'm going to ruin minor plot points, minor character arcs, and scenes from those books. Alright, all of that being said, let's get on to the video. Alright, so this is Amazon Prime's Explore page. This shows the Wheel of Time and shows some of the stuff that's there. I can't at least access it on the app. It doesn't work on the app for me. I can only see it on a desktop computer. However, some people can access it on the app. Some people can't. Like I said, as the rollout goes, more and more people are getting more and more access to this, but there are still a ton of people who can't see it yet that are subscribed to Prime. So basically what it is from here, you can see the episodes. So we have the episodes here. There's details about the show, but what we're concerned with is this Explore function. Now, it gives us a little bit of stuff here. So it shows Tar-Valon here. It says begin your journey, dragon mounts in the background. And then it shows us the bonus material. You have Moiraine's quest. That's this small little snippet they gave us that was really fantastic for people who maybe haven't read the book series to explain what's going on. The official teaser trailer, the first one that came out. And then you have this. You have a picture of Rosamund Pike as Moiraine and some quotes. So they're going to do this a bunch of times here. There's a lot of imagery from the show, and it's really beautiful. It really is. They're here for the same reason I am for you. The Dark One is waking. His whispers are already in the backs of our minds, but there will be one who can stand against him. The dragon has been born again, and it's one of you. Now, we did hear that in the trailer, so they're kind of rehashing some of the stuff they've had there. Now, we have this down here. Who is the Dragon Reborn? And it showcases a bunch of different pictures of the cast. Now, I'm on Nynaeve here, but we'll start back on Moiraine. You basically just click through them. And essentially, it gives a little snippet of what each one of these characters are. It's great for somebody who's new to take a look at this stuff, maybe doesn't understand what's going on in the show, or if you've read the books a long time ago and you're not a seasoned fan that's read them a bunch of times. So Moiraine has come to the Two Rivers in search of the one who will save or destroy the world. A mysterious and powerful Aes Sedai capable of channeling the one power, her arrival brings with it concern and threat of chaos. She claims to seek the prophesied Dragon Reborn, but for what purpose? Aes Sedai may never speak that which is not true, but the truth one tells you is not always the truth you may think. So again, it does a little snippet of each one of these characters. I won't read them all, but you have one for Egwene, the Innkeeper's daughter, one for Rand al'Thor. Few things are more important to Rand than his family and friends. Mat Cauthon. Mat is always ready with a smart remark and loves to make people laugh. Perrin, don't let the physique from long days working at a forge fool you. Perrin is a gentle giant. Nynaeve, fierce and assertive, commanding respect as youngest wisdom the Two Rivers has ever seen. And of course, Lan Mandragoran. Lan is Moiraine's warder, a warder bonded to an Aes Sedai through the one power. Now, all of that being said, it's really cool that they're showcasing these pictures actually come out as posters. I'm going to cover them in another video later on, a news video, but the posters are really neat. They actually did release them on Twitter, and we got to actually dive into them a bit and strip off some of the layers, and there's some things hidden behind them. But we've seen them here first in the Explore page. At least those people who could access it could. Now, this is the really neat part down here. This is a map. Now, essentially what this is it lets you explore the Westlands. So you can zoom out, and it shows the Westlands here. Now, you can't go too far up. You can see this. You're going to hear me clicking a lot because it's a click and drag. You can't go too far to the right because you have this fog of war here that you can't see anything behind, and you can't go too far down. It's showcasing just the Westlands, nowhere else. Now, if we zoom in, I'm going to zoom in a bunch here. You have a few different spots in the map. Now, this is the iconic map you see in the inside cover of the hardcovers, as well as all the books, and it showcases a couple of different locations. So we're going to talk about them, and I think they're here because they're going to be talked about in the first season, or they'll be visited in the first season. So we have, of course, this one here, the two rivers. We click on that, we get a little pop out, and it says, nestled between these rivers lies the home of 5 young women and men destined to shape the world. Again, what they've been doing with the marketing is they've been kind of throwing in this thing where it could be Egwene or Nynaeve as the dragon, and I think that is on purpose, not because that there's any actual hope of them being the dragon in the show and they're going to change that. I think it's because a lot of people who haven't read the books or read them a very, very long time ago and maybe don't remember them, this gives them a chance to maybe not discover who the dragon is as early as we did in the book series when you're reading it. Because let's face it, we all knew that Rand was a dragon by halfway through the first book at the very least, because it was pretty evident. So it talks about the two rivers. We know we're seeing the two rivers in the show. We've had a bunch of stuff showcased from that. The attack, Winter Night, Beltane, Moraine, and Land there. All of the Two Rivers folk in the Winespring Inn. We've seen a lot of teasers and stuff there. So really neat that they're showing this here. But then we get this. Geldon. Geldon is a relatively small kingdom at the foothills of the Mountains of Mist. War has broken out here. Now what they're talking about is Logain. Logain is a nobleman from Geldon, and he proclaimed himself as the Dragon Reborn. He's been featured heavily in a lot of the promotional material because they have expanded his storyline a fair bit. My personal opinion is they're probably going to display him as the big bad arc for some of the first season. I wouldn't say the entire bit, but maybe a few episodes they're going to showcase him as the bad guy, and showcase him maybe, renouncing his claim on his nobility when he's in Geldon, proclaiming himself as the Dragon Reborn. We've seen in some of the teasers where he's fighting the King of Geldon. Really, really neat stuff, but I think they're showcasing this here because, let's face it, we know we're seeing Geldon in the show. Now, next bit here we have is Shadar Logoth. Now, Shadar Logoth, once the richest and most powerful city in the world, these ruins are now haunted by shapeless evil, which we all know to be Mashadar and Mordeth. Now, we know they visit Shadar Logoth in the show. There's been, let's face it, it's been in the teasers, it's been in a bunch of the stills. We've seen Mashadar. So far, 3 spots we've been to: Geldon, the Two Rivers, and Shadar Logoth. We know they're going to visit the show. Next one I'm going to go up here is Tar Valon. Tar Valon is the seat of power for the Aes Sedai, and so perhaps the most influential city in the world. Now, we know we're seeing Tar Valon in the show because we've seen a lot of shots of the Hall of the Tower, the Amerlin, Swan. We've seen Lyanna, the Keeper. We've seen that stuff in all of the shots. We know they're going to showcase Tar Valon in Season 1, which doesn't really show up in the book series until the second book. So we thought maybe if it was 1 book per season, it'd be in Episode 2, but we know they're integrating that early because they're doing a lot of world building. So keep that in mind, world building. That's why they show Tar Valon. Next spot we're going to go to down here is a made-up town. This is not something that really was showcased in the book. This is Breen Spring. It's a cobbled together at the edge of the quarry. The people here are as hard as the stones they mine. Now, I believe this is probably going to take the place of Generic Village 1 through 32 that Rand and Mat visit on their way to Caemlyn. Now, at this point, most of the fandom is pretty much resigned to the fact that we're not going to see Caemlyn in the first season. There's been no promotional material. We know Elaine Trakand has been introduced as casting for Season 2, so we're not going to see her in Season 1. So I think the journey might be from Shadar Logoth to Tar Valon and not to Caemlyn. And I think they're doing that basically to cut down costs. They didn't want to have another major city for 1 or 2 scenes. Now, Breen Spring, I think, is going to take the place of Four Kings and all of the other little villages that Mat and Rand visit along the way. I think they're going to meet Tom here in an inn, and I think this is going to be the instance where Rand really does use the One Power. And I said it before for the first time, which is not correct. He used it a couple times before this in the first book, but this is the first time where it's blatantly obvious to the reader that uses the one power. I think they're going to show all of that here, and I think we're also going to see the fate attack on Tom here. So you may see Tom only for maybe part of 2 episodes. One where he's introduced, where he does his little Gleeman thing, and an inn where he sings a bit, he talks to the boys, and then he saves them from a fade in the next episode. And I think that's pretty much going to be Tom's entire arc in the first season, because we know he was only on set for a couple of episodes in the second block, 3 and 4. No other time. So I think this is where Breen Spring comes in, and I think they did that on purpose to amalgamate a bunch of the villages together. Now, the last thing on here is pretty interesting. It's the Kingdom of Tyr. This coastal kingdom is home to a formidable fortress known as the Stone of Tyr. It has never fallen. Now, we know that they're expanding a lot of things in the first season for world-building purposes. We're going to see Tar Valon. We see a lot more of the White Cloaks than we're going to. Loghain's stories expanded. We're going to see Geldon when perhaps we didn't really see that. It was just talked about in the books. So why are they mentioning Tyr here in this map? I think they're going to talk about Tyr a little bit, and maybe we'll see some flashes to the city itself. Maybe we'll see some things going on there because, let's face it, Tyr is a very, very important part of the book series. And this is why I gave spoilers to The Dragon Reborn. It's where Rand goes to draw Kalendor to proclaim himself as the Dragon Reborn. So I think that they're going to talk about the prophecies of the dragon, maybe with some flashbacks. I think they're going to showcase Tyr a little bit. And if I had to truly guess, I'm going to say some of the final shots of the series in episodes 7 and 8 are going to be in Tyr, showcasing Kalendor, showcasing the High Lords of Tyr, and maybe, perhaps, that certain Forsaken that took over as one of them. That's my guess anyway, but I think we're going to see Tyr in the first season, at the very least in small snippets here and there, if not just mentioned. Now, if we go down further here, you have another little quote here. You've lived too long in these mountains, pretending what happens in the rest of the world can't affect you. And then we have this. So this is a timeline. And again, this looks like it can be added to. So there's only a few different spots in this timeline. The first one is the breaking of the world. You click on see more. It says the dragon, Lews Therin, and a group of male Aes Sedai attempted to cage the Dark One forever. When they failed, the Dark One tainted the One Power. They're calling it the corruption now. They've doubled down. They got rid of the word taint because the memes would just be too much when the show came out, I think. Driving all male Aes Sedai mad. In their madness, they broke the world, mountains fell, lands were reformed, civilization collapsed, and the towering Dragon Mount was formed. This was the end of the Age of Legends and the beginning of the Third Age. So it's a little bit of history there. So we know that Lews Therin has been cast in the first season. We know they're going to talk about it. We don't know if we're getting the prologue, but at the very least, they're showcasing some stuff here that is important to the viewer for the first season. If you click this button here, it jumps you to the next spot. The pattern demands a champion. It even gives you a date here, 978 NE. A child was born believed to be Lews Therin, spun back into the world, once again challenged the Dark One. This person has been referred to in prophecy as the Dragon Reborn. They are fated to have great power, and it is said they will either save the world or destroy it. Now, in the background here, you see Dragon Mount, and this was shown in the trailer when you see the Aiel fighting basically in the blood snow for those 2 little snippets of that trailer. So this, I think, is also very important, and we're going to see this in the show. All right, next bit, you click this over, and it goes to Moraine's quest. Now, the Aes Sedai Moraine began her search for the next dragon, an individual born on a foretold date, said to be the chosen one who is able to touch the source of the One Power, powerful enough to save the world from the Dark One or destroy it once again. So this talks about prior to coming to the 2 rivers, when she started her quest, when she actually went out in search of the Dragon Reborn. And it gives you a date here. The first one was 978 when he was born, 979 NEs when she started her quest. So 20 years later, 998 NE, we have On to the 2 Rivers. This would be what we assume to be the start of the first season of the show. Moraine's search for the Dragon Reborn led her to the quaint region of 2 Rivers, where she had heard rumors of 4 young people who potentially matched the prophecy of the Dragon Reborn. So, a great little timeline, and really beneficial to some people who maybe haven't read the book series in a very long time, or people who have never read it, who are looking for a little bit more information than before the show comes out. So that was the Explore page for those of you who can't access it, and my thoughts on what some of the things in it could possibly mean for the first season. I am almost sure at this point, if they're showing Tyr, we're going to see it, at least in some small way, shape, or form. Maybe not in a big city. It may not be a big part of the season, but it is important in the book series, so I'm going to guess we're probably going to see at least a couple of shots. And let's face it, I think ending the entire season at Tyr with one little shot of Kalendor would be glorious. That would be amazing. I don't know what they're going to do, but I like that idea. Now, let me know in the comments down below what you folks think. Were you able to access it? Can you yet? If you can't, let me know. I'm really interested to know how many people still can't see this stuff because, like I said before, the rollout wasn't great. Only a few people could see it at a time. They had a lot of technical difficulties with this, and it kind of ballooned around the world. I know there are still people in the US where it first was released that can't see it yet. So let me know how you folks are able to see it or not. And I'm also interested to know how many people here are subscribed to Amazon Prime. Because if you're not, and there's a fair number of people who are not, would it be a good contest for me to kind of give out some Amazon Prime memberships? Because let's face it, the show's dropping. I think it would be kind of neat to give out a couple to people who don't have it, that really do want to see the show. So let me know in the comments down below, those of you who do watch my channel, who plan on watching the show, that don't have a subscription yet, because that's something, I never even really thought of. All right. Thank you so much for sticking with me here to the very end, and here's to many more.